This is the solution for the challenge titled Challenge Simple Calculator. It was intended to be easy. Hopefully you found it to be easy and you are able to cut your way through this without any problem. However, if you did get stuck, hopefully you just watch enough of this video, at least at first, to get unstuck and then continue on. So let's start by creating a new project like we've always done in the past, creating a new ASP.NET web application that we're going to call Challenge Simple Calculator. And we'll click OK. And we're going to choose the empty template with folders and references for web forms. We're going to add a new web form called default. We'll go into design view, and here we'll say simple calculator. All right, and per the assignment, I'm going to select it. I'm going to make this into a heading 1, like so. All right, below that, I'm going to type first value colon. Let's get the toolbox working here. We're going to add a text box next to that. And then we're going to create second value colon, and then we'll add a text box. All right, and I wanted to change the font for these labels to Arial Helvetica Sans Serif. So I select it on the designer I'm using the Shift key and the arrow keys on my keyboard to select exactly what I needed. And I'm changing from the font dialog to Arial Helvetica Sans Serif. Great. And now we need 3 buttons, or 4 buttons rather. So we're going to add the first button. I'm going to add a space, add another button. I'll add a space, add another button, add a space, and then add a final button. And then I guess we'll just hit the enter key twice on the keyboard. And then finally, I'm going to add a label. All right, so let's start from the top. We want to create names for each of these text boxes, and you can call them anything you want, but I'm going to call them first text box and second text box. All right, and then each of the buttons, we're going to go plus button, and in the plus button I'm just going to use the text, the plus symbol. I'm going to go to the next button and call this the subtract button. Again, I don't care what you call it. I probably should have been a little more consistent there, but I'm just going to put a minus sign there in that button. And then we're going to choose multiply. So while I'm here on the text attribute, I'll just go ahead and change that to an asterisk, and I'll call this multiply button, multiply button, right? Okay, and then finally divide button. And we'll change its text as well. And for the label, I will remove its contents and call this result label. All right, I also issued a bonus, which I'm going to cover at the very end regarding the result label. All right, so we'll come back to this at the very end, but I don't want to spoil that for you if you're going to work on that. All right, it's not very hard. It just required a little more work. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to double-click each of these buttons to create an event handler for each of them. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to create the plus button underscore click event, the subtract button underscore click event, the times or multiply button click event, and finally the divide button underscore click event. All right. Now, we're going to follow a similar formula for all 4 of these. All right, so let's start in the plus button. So we'll just work with integers here. So int first equals int.parse first text box.text. Easy enough. Int second equals int.parse second text box dot text. Int result equals first plus second, and then we'll go result label dot text text equals result. All right, and we note that we're going to have to do a toString on that to make that work, and so we can test that really quick. All right, so we'll put 3 and 4, and we'll hit the plus sign, and it'll result in 7. Great. All right, so I tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to make this really easy. I'm just going to copy all this code and paste it here, and just do subtract. I'm going to paste it here and do multiply, and I'm going to paste it here and do divide. All right, like so. Now it should all work for me. So let's try all the scenarios here. So we'll go with 4 and 7. We'll add 2 items together. We'll subtract 4 minus 7 is a -3. We'll multiply, and that equals 28. Now in the divide, it doesn't work exactly the way that it should, and that's because we were using integers. And so let's go to the divide button and just change everything to doubles. And so double and double dot parse here, double and double dot parse here. The result will be a double, and that should do it. Now let's run it again and use the same numbers, 4 and 7. And do divide, and we get a fractional number. All right. The last part of this was to format the result label. So let's go back out there, choose our result label, and what we're going to need to do is, I don't think we can use any of these toolbar items. I didn't really try that. I worked with the properties window instead, because these are properties of the server control, not just a simple text that's on our screen. So that was really where the challenge came in for this. Let's change the font. We had to drill into the font category and choose a size, and I'll choose larger. All right, and then I'm going to choose bold. I'm going to set that to true. And then the last thing I need to do is to set a background color. So the back color is currently null. I'm going to click the little ellipsis next to that property, and then I'm going to choose this blue color, one of these blue colors. I think that one's better, and click OK. And so that will solve that. So let's run it one more time. And let's just put some bogus numbers in here, and then do a multiply, and you can see the result comes out with a larger font, and it is bolded, and it has a color behind it. Okay, so that is the solution to this. I hope you got it. There were a few little tricky bits that I've never showed you before, like how to add multiple buttons and handle them. Hopefully that didn't throw you. The other tricky part was just was working with the result label and changing its properties in the properties window, not using this toolbar area, but everything else you should have known how to do up to this point. All right, including the division, which required a double instead of an integer. All right, did you get something close to that? I hope you did. If not, tell you what, try this again tomorrow. Sleep on it, come back, and do this exercise again to solidify this in your mind, and before you move forward. Okay? All right, we'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you.